It's the Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy, now on Xbox Game Pass. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. Yeah, you're supposed to bounce on them, not destroy them. So yeah, the time is finally now. We have Crash Bandicoot on the Game Pass. We're diving in and talking about this trilogy package where you get to enjoy the magic of the classic Crash Bandicoot action, all available in one cozy remade compilation, which is kind of spectacular. You know, if you're a fan of, well, Crash Bandicoot, or maybe you haven't heard of Crash Bandicoot before, now is your time to Crash Bandicoot shine, I guess you would say. So we are here on the Series X taking a look at this one. So it's a native 4K resolution at 30 FPS with HDR. And yeah, it's a single-player adventure where you are playing as the titular character, a Crash Bandicoot, and you are going off and doing these wacky, I guess you would say, different. Oh, whoa, no, those are you're supposed to bounce off of those. I think it's because I'm doing the time trial thing. And yeah, you're smashing crates, bashing crates, collecting things, and trying to do. It is basically a collectathon. And yeah, I guess I gotta put my initials in. I usually don't do the challenges. How could you beat me? Why? No, I won't restart the trial. I've given up. So yeah, we get to see Crash here on, well, basically a journey to explore the island and other areas and deal with all these problems across, well, Crash Bandicoot 1, 2, and 3. And we'll be showing off each of them in little bits throughout the video, so you get an idea of what each of these classic platforming games has to offer. Why am I doing time trials even? I'm not sure why I'm doing the time trials. I just keep accidentally going into them, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, so you get to enjoy basically what is an updated compilation package where we get to see the first 3 mainline Crash Bandicoot games all remade for the modern audience. I guess at this point you could technically remake them, but probably diminishing returns to some degree. But yeah, you get to enjoy the magic of these games in a compilation that makes them all aesthetically look and feel similar, while still playing like they used to back in the day, which is kind of charming when it comes to remakes, to be able to capture that original style. At the same time, these games are pretty difficult. Like, they're 3D platformers, but like they genuinely have an edge of difficulty to them. Like, they're not super easy going. So just you know, keep that in mind if you're someone that's never experienced the cruelty of Crash Bandicoot or 3D platforming from this era. It was really unforgiving. I just want to really put that out there. And like, you know what, like honestly, Crash Bandicoot 4 was like pretty decent until like the last level where you're just like flying in the air. That's not in this one. Like, Crash Bandicoot 4 is its own game, and I've got a video for that one to kind of go over it, but I mostly just try to get across that like these Crash Bandicoot games definitely have an edge and a bout of difficulty to them. Like, they're not super easygoing games. Like, they're kind of fun, but you know, they're not like a cozy adventure. And it's like these warm-up levels, they're not too bad, but yeah, they can get pretty pretty grueling as you go along on the different collections, especially with the difficulty of stuff. Like, it takes some pretty precise platforming, I would say, to make sure everything is everything is good and clean and running well. But these remakes are quite wonderful. Like, if you enjoyed the Crash Bandicoot games when you were younger, you're in for a real treat. If for whatever reason you haven't played these before, if you're someone that's new to this series, these are like platforming gems. And Crash Bandicoot is a pretty iconic and classic gaming character, especially as a 3D platforming character where I can't seem to jump over the box. You gotta be kidding me. So it's got all the content It's got some secret lost level stuff. It's got some extra little enhancements. It's got all the charm, all the conflict, all the enjoyment of like the 20 years of Crash Bandicoot. And yeah, I mean, if you are into Crash or have never played like Crash Bandicoot games, these are really, really neat. Like I quite like 3D platformers. I honestly don't think we get enough 3D platformers in the modern era at all, but yeah, no, they're really, really quite cool games. And this one in general I think is really quite cool. Uh-oh, we're gonna die from the box, and you're supposed to jump on the top, and then, yeah, okay, there we go. Well, that was a mess up, but it happens. And you know, like, checkpoints aren't super easy going, but it's really, really quite cool. And as I had mentioned, like, Crash Bandicoot 4 I think is a lot easier of an entry into the series, just because it is built to like modern standards, but like by no means is that one necessarily like an easygoing time either. These games will, I think, genuinely kind of challenge and frustrate you to the highest degree, I would imagine, but you know, they're still kind of fun. Oh, come on. And the death animations and stuff for Crash are just adorably hilarious. But yeah, it's kind of humorous, and you've got to watch out for your lives and little fun secret levels. There's lots to enjoy in these Crash Bandicoot games, and lots of trials and difficulty to be had. And I don't. God, you gotta be kidding me. So yeah, I think they're kind of neat, and they're probably worth checking out if you've never played them before. Like, I think it's kind of a gem of a series, personally, and I think you're gonna really like them. But let's switch over to Crash Bandicoot 2. It's Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back. So this is, well, obviously the second Crash Bandicoot. Okay, that's dark. that's dark. So this is a sequel follow-up, and yeah, like, I always love when you're going back and playing these old games and you just kind of remember how, like, tightly these games came out. Like, you were getting games, like, you're basically, like, back-to-back, year-on-year, and they were still innovating, and then, like, nowadays it takes, like, years and years and years and years to get stuff, which is a shame. But yeah, it's kind of neat, because you get the, I guess you would say, the cool visual element of, like, seeing them all in line. Because as I said in the first game, I guess you could maybe skip to this part of the game if you like the second one more than the first one or something like that. But as I had mentioned, essentially the aesthetic is the same across all of the different games. Like, the idea is these games all look like they came out at the exact same time, so it's one cohesive trilogy package. But they retain each of the enhancements that 1, 2, and 3, like 2 and 3 had over, you know, 1 or 3 had over 2. That was kind of the idea, is you just get to see these sort of platforming evolutions, them kind of like reaching new technical heights, as to say, in terms of, you know, new movements, new ways to fight, new platforming concepts. This is actually all really quite interesting if you think about it. And you get it all in the magic of Crash Bandicoot action. But yeah, Cortex is striking back. I can't believe I can't get that one over there. In this one, it's just a lot more, I want to say, imaginative in terms of, like, places you go and things you see. You still have all the, like, the hidden collectibles, all the secrets, everything like that. But, yeah, it's just kind of like an upgraded package. And I do feel like they get a lot more accessible and playable for different types of players as the series kind of... Oh, I wanted the... See, I made a bad decision there. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go and grab all the Wumpa fruits, but I was like halfway through a jump, and okay, I can't. I keep forgetting you can't. I thought he was bouncy. I thought he was bouncy for a sec. You're gonna have to give me a sec to get back into the swing of this. But anyways, yeah, it's neat how they become a little bit more easier going as you go through them in terms of being able to handle them. But yeah, it's all got that. Oh, you gotta be kidding me! That charm and that precise platforming that is required in order to make it through the areas, well, without dying and stuff and grabbing all of your things. I do really think they did a great job of bringing Crash Bandicoot back in this package. I think it's It's really, really quite awesome. The challenges of not dying are always a blast. Why are you such a difficult thing? Oh, he sinks and then you drown. It's so dark. Yeah, I always forget, like I said, the death animations are always kind of entertaining and funny, but you kind of sometimes forget about how dark some of them are. Like, poor Crash getting drowned just because he literally can't swim. I hope he took some time between the later Crash Bandicoots to learn how to swim, because it's a skill you should learn if you live somewhere where there's water. Just gonna throw that out there. Swimming is a very, very useful thing to have knowledge about. I will say that for sure. Yeah, so Crash Bandicoot 2, pretty rad, pretty cool. You can see how they were mixing things up. I mean, obviously you've got like the skateboarding stuff you're doing. I failed so badly on those crate collections, and then just the scope of it I think is improved like a lot. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot more to the experience. There's a lot more to the package. So many different like levels and things to do. Kind of nice. Where should we go? The pits, Crash Dash, Ripperoo, Turtle Woods. I usually like to do the Snow Go one when I'm doing these videos, but I thought we'd mix it up a bit, show off some different levels. Because there's lots of levels to enjoy in the Crash Bandicoot games. Oh, I guess this one is good because it's the one that's reminiscent of the first game, and then you'd be like, oh, I remember this, it's familiar. But also, like, kind of different, too. Yeah. Anyways, Crash Bandicoot 2 is kind of a neat improvement in a lot of different ways for, like, mechanics, gameplay, and just, like, the technical improvements on this one are really, really interesting, because you were really seeing that they were evolving what Crash Bandicoot could do. And then, you know, like, obviously, we had Crash Bandicoot 4, like, way later on, which is its own game. Like I said, we've done our own video on it, like, for it itself. But, like, there's been lots of other Crash Bandicoot games throughout the years. I guess different spin-offs and different variations on the character. And it's just kind of, I guess you would say, to a degree, more recent that we just don't really get Crash Bandicoot too often. And that's, like I said, because of the 3D platformer era basically being done for quite a while. Even characters with strong, you know, historic stuff like Crash still struggles even. But, you know, it was kind of nice to get the N Sane Trilogy and Crash 4 so close together, and yeah. You know, I just kind of appreciate that this even exists as a package. It's just kind of awesome. Like, I think this looks so good. I think it holds up so beautifully well. They really, really did some nice stuff with this compilation of games. It's a bit of a treat, especially if you grew up playing the Crash Bandicoot stuff. It's really, really quite miraculous to see, you know, the character have, like, I guess longevity and stuff and interest from people. Like, it's amazing that a character, you know, can still resonate with audiences so long after, especially with a genre that's kind of like as struggling as the 3D platformer is, which is a shame because 3D platformers are so cool. But yeah, nice kind of upgrade over the first one, I would say, just like technically and gameplay wise and all that. They did a good job with this one. Let's go into 3. It's Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Yep, here we go, the third and final entry in the 3-pack of Crash Bandicoot N Sane Trilogy games. Why am I struggling to hit that? Maybe it's the stick drift. Oh, I don't know. Hopefully not. Anyways, yeah, this one really, I think, personally, you can notice, like, the massive change in technology and scope. As I said, obviously, like, you know, they all look the same, all 3 of these games. That's the idea of remaking them like this. But it is kind of interesting, though, to literally just see, like, how much they were improving upon the 3D platformers as these games released back in the day. It's kind of sad we haven't had steady Crash Bandicoot games over the years. It would have been kind of amazing to have had literally one every other year, one every year, or something like that. Just imagine how many cool Crash Bandicoot games we could have had at this point in time. But, you know, you get what you get. But this one, very interesting just in terms of expanding the concepts of, like, Crash Bandicoot as a character, and also a little bit of other characters as well. They certainly have some fun with it, especially evolutions of, like, what you're doing when you're 3D platforming, not just, like, literally hopping and jumping around, but using, like, certain items and kind of vehicular type things of sorts. Like we saw a little bit with Crash 2 there, where you're, you know, essentially going around on like a board, like a skateboard type thing, and then this one has a little bit more fun with it. And thematically, too, these ones are quite a lot of fun, like this one, because you just get to go to, like, such interesting, I guess you would say, fantasy-type locations. It's always hard to come up with, like, I guess you would say, new ideas and, like, concepts and things for you to do so that your Crash Bandicoot experience is unique and different, right? Because it's like, oh, well, you've done one thing, and then you go too ambitious, and you're like, how do we top this? And yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, just trying to create new stuff with the character, making sure people don't get burnt out of it, and also being excited that, like, hey, there's a new Crash Bandicoot. This is what I was talking about, see? We've got to catch the waves, and that's where they were basically just trying to do new things with Crash Bandicoot. And they always did have cool new ideas, I will say, for the different levels and what you're doing in them. And as I mentioned, I think accessibility just becomes a lot easier going as they go on. They make these games something that's a little bit more playable by all different audience types without getting too insanely frustrated by all of the craziness that goes on, because I know there's a good edge of difficulty there. Oh no! Coco! But yeah, I find the Crash Bandicoot games to be rather entertaining. Like, they're a fun challenge, there's a good amount of gameplay to them. This whole package is kind of just sort of a gaming gem, though, because you could really tell that there was a lot of love and care in regards to bringing back the characters' traditional hits and making sure that they were something that were a lot easier to resonate with the modern audience. Because I think that, I believe a big part of allowing new audiences to enjoy these older games is occasionally doing the work to make sure that they are upgraded and enhanced for the modern audience. Like, you can have a great playing old game, but if it looks too old, you know, it makes the barrier of getting younger people into them a lot harder. And again, by the end of this one, every time I go back and replay this, I am kind of... It is funny to get to a point where you're sitting there and you see remakes, remasters. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I think the checkpoint was right up there. You see remakes, remasters, and you're like, oh, well, you know what? I bet they could take this a little further nowadays. And that in itself is kind of funny, too, being like, oh, well, you know, I'm sure the technology would allow them to go even wilder. And it's like a bit of a shame that they kind of don't do that sort of thing. Because I do know that it's very likely that they could, you know, expand the visual scope of this in a crazier way, which would be pretty cool. I don't know. Still, I like what they've done here. I think lots of other people have. It's a great package. If you like Crash Bandicoot, this is awesome. If you don't like Crash Bandicoot, maybe you could grow to like Crash Bandicoot if you give him a bit of a try. Him and his group of pals, I think you'd really love this kind of platforming game. And it was cool seeing, you know, not only this package, but also our good pal Spyro come out as well. And, you know, Crash got a new game, what about poor Spyro? I'm always like a big Spyro fan, right? But yeah, no, it's just wild and a bit of a bravo thing to Crash Bandicoot to have a game that's good enough for me to want to keep coming back and checking out said game years and years later. I mean, there's obviously a reason with this dropping on the Game Pass, so you get this like great collection of free awesome games, which is why we're doing this, but you know, at the same time, probably wouldn't do this for every game, right? Only the special ones are the ones that really draw you in and make you want to enjoy what they have to offer, even though the years have gone by. Even this one was a long time ago, you think about it, when this package released, but it is really, truly awesome to be back and having more and more excuses to take a look at the magic and the fun that is Crash Bandicoot. I mean, they're great games. They hold up well. I hope that, and I guess we haven't really seen it at this point, but I do continue to hope that like this sort of game and Spyro and stuff are good templates for other potential remake packages. You know, for other franchises, just, you know, upgrading your games, making them better for the modern audience. And I think, you know, this package, and then also Spyro Reignited, which is really cool, and you should check it out.